What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Black Brilliance Now. I'm your host, Tait Desae from Mr. Big Head Reads. I'm super excited to partner with YaLife Marketing and Media to celebrate Black History Month in a unique way by highlighting various leaders, scholars, activists, and artists in the Black community from across the country. Today, I am joined by the dynamic duo of gospel music. Now, I'm personally super excited because I feel like I'm in the presence of gospel royalty. At least to me, I think that in my household, it was the Clarks, the Winans, Mary, and Dawkins. Okay, so
Wow.
listen, it's really hard to say that you're a supporter of gospel music and not know who they are. Their sound, imprint, and influence is all over not only just the gospel music, but music industry overall. So I'm super excited to welcome Eric and Anson from Dawkins and Dawkins. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Doing
Good.
doing well. That was an awesome introduction. We appreciate that.
Yo, I mean it. I mean, y'all have been such an influence, and it's a pleasure to celebrate not only just Black History Month with you all, but to really hear about the work that you have done in the history of music and how has it impacted Black communities across this country. So, just a little bit before we get into it too deeply, could you just share a little bit about your background and your story to where you are now?
Wow, we just two preachers' kids from born in Iowa, in Davenport, Iowa, and yeah,
Okay.
it was a beautiful time. Uh, we, we left there when we were pretty young, and we moved to Tennessee, and then on to Ohio. And between Tennessee and Ohio is where we started developing our music stuff, and our love for music started even earlier than that. When we were in Iowa, we began singing with our mom
Mm.
at church, and when my dad would go speak in different places, we would go with him and kind of open up, kind of loosen things up for him when we got there. But that kind of led us to connecting, just writing our own music and starting to create and having some really big influences in the gospel industry that
Mhm.
played a big part in that. And then we ended up connecting with Commission.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
that was kind of the pinnacle or the linchpin moment for us that happened, that kind of catapulted us into what we're doing now. And it's just been a journey, and it's been, wow, it's been 30 years now. So this is
30 years.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy.
That longevity is really not as popular nowadays, right? Like when you think about the artists who, can be here for 15 minutes and, forgotten in the next hour, right? But
Yeah.
30 years, and y'all from Iowa. So let's start there. No shade, but it's like now we didn't know that there was Black folks in Iowa, but they're there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We left. We left.
We
So
left. But it's still, that's just having that influence and coming from humble beginnings. I'm sure that the way that you have defined success is maybe altered or may have evolved. And so I'm curious to know, like within your fields of work, how do you define success, and what continues to motivate you to stay in what you're doing?
I have to. My brother, he used to say this when we would minister places, but and it's something that rings true. Like we never measured our level of success by like material, like stuff that we have or we've accumulated. It's more about our obedience to God. If we're
Mhm.
being obedient to Him, then the success is there. Like whatever we get from you know making ourselves available to Him and allowing Him to do what He's going to do through us, then that's success for us. We both have families. We have beautiful children. We have beautiful wives, and
Mhm.
we're healthy. We know we've lost a lot of people over the years, younger
Mhm.
than us. So we just feel blessed to be able to do what we do and make a living at it and support our families. And I think that's really our motivation because we love music. It's
Yeah.
never been about the money or the awards or anything like that. It's always been about the love and our passion for music. And as Anson said, we started at such a young age. There, it would be. I'd be surprised if we went any other direction because we were both in college. Anson was pre-med. I was a mechanical engineer. Mechanical engineer, and I wanted to be an architect. He was going into medicine, of course, and we got the opportunity with Fred. I think Anson were you 2 years in, 2.5, something like that? Because we left in the middle of the semester, like or between first and second semesters, to go do stuff with Fred and commission. So we just looked at the opportunity and said, God, it's got to be you, because we had a plan, of course. And as we all know, our plans are not God's plans. So we were obedient to that, and I think that's why we've had the longevity that we've had. And we don't see any end in sight.
I hear you.
We're gonna always be doing this in some capacity because we have a heart for mentoring as well. So you're always going to hear about us doing something in the music industry.
No, I appreciate you highlighting both the successes and the losses that you all have encountered being in the industry for this long, and starting very young. I'm sure that you all have a numerous amount of challenges that you all have faced, and we all know that the industry is a beast, right? And we hear from the outside often that it is a struggle to remain not only just relevant, but to just remain confident, right, and steadfast in the industry. So I'm curious just to hear from you all. What are some challenges you all have faced being Black men, being Black Christian men, holding on to your values and to your faith while being in this industry, and what has motivated you to continue?
Well, the way that we look at things will dictate whether it's a challenge or whether it's an opportunity. To trust, number one, to trust God. Number two, to trust ourselves. And I think finding what we've kind of walked through were challenges to remain, as you mentioned, relevant, but at the same time, not going in a direction that would seem to be a good direction. The things that look good, we've had opportunities to do other types of music ourselves, and the opportunity is still there. But our desire is to be, we are guys who follow Jesus, but have that are musicians, vocalists, writers, producers. That doesn't change our who we are. We are first, followers of Jesus, and that out of that flows everything else. We have these other gifts that we've been given, and we choose to use them to be examples, to also influence others that may want to get into the industry or may be in the industry, and just be a blessing. We've been blessed with gifts and talents, and because of who we love, and because of how we've been loved and how we've been forgiven, how we've been embraced, we want to extend that same thing with our gifts, with our talents. So the challenges that we face, we try not to dwell on them, because we could get into a rut, and not saying that we haven't gotten into little ruts and then had to dig ourselves out, but even when we at what we would deem or look at as the pinnacle of our success, when we had in '98, when we did a project at Harmony Records, and seemed like things were really moving in a really great direction. We had a number one song, Need to Know, and things were just going, and then we were these things that we were not in control of.
Right.
The record company just folded.
Mhm.
We were like, what do we do?
We were
We had
home.
that.
We
Yeah,
were orphaned.
yeah. So that
Wow.
that was one of the biggest
Mm.
challenges that we faced. And our desire, again, as Eric mentioned, our love for music, kept us from staying there and helped us to kind of say, okay, no, it's about the music. It's about what God has given us. We didn't do this we weren't doing this for Harmony Records. We had a contract with them, but that's not, they don't dictate what we do. You
Mhm.
know, we would love to have, seen what might have happened, but this everything is as it should be.
Right.
Everything is as it
Right.
should
Yeah, and that optimism is what I'm sure sustains you along with your faith to know that all things work together, right, for the
all
good of them that love God, right, and are called according
True.
to His purpose. So even the good, the bad, the folding of a company, the uncertainty of what the future may look like, it's
Yes,
all going to work out.
yes.
And sure enough, it has, because you all are, as I'm sitting here, it's quite refreshing to hear how humble you all are, because it's like I've heard Eric's voice in various albums in the background, and your influence in writing and producing some of major artists, right? Not even just in gospel, but you all have been not only sustained, but your gifts has been flourishing to even help others, and that's a blessing. And I think that humility, right, is what allows you that space for God to say, I can trust you with this, right? Because
Right.
you are a person that's going to give back, and you're going to look forward to others who are right behind you, right? And
Yeah.
so I I'm interested in knowing, like, are there specific individuals throughout history, or even just the Black History movement or the music industry, that has inspired or influenced your work?
I have to point at the Million Man March was something that
Mm.
I didn't get a chance to go, but I know some people that went, and of course I watched, and it was to see that many Black men come together for that purpose, and for that voice was just, it was amazing to me. It definitely inspired me to want to keep going in this industry, and I have to jump back when we were talking about things that, challenges that we had, and it kind of speaks to the Black history, and even just the
Mm.
Black period. Like when we got signed, we were signed to a label called Benson in Tennessee, in Nashville, and by some people's standards, they would they would call it one of the good old boy record,
Mm.
because we ended up finding out that you get into a situation and you think everything is hunky dory, everything is just peaches and cream. We ended up finding out that we were like one of their revenue groups, which means the money that is generated from our project doesn't go back into us; it goes to other artists on the
Oh,
label.
wow.
And hearing that, we were I think we were kind of naive because of the way we were raised. There were no color lines or anything like that. Even remembering back to when we lived in Columbia, Tennessee, we were, I think, like 15, 20 miles away from Pulaski, Tennessee, which was the Ku Klux Klan capital.
Mm.
And I remember vividly, me and my brother, my dad had to speak at a church down there, and we're riding through the town. It's a small town. Me and my brother, being kids, we probably, what, 7, 8, um, riding through the town, and we see, what looks to us like, gathering outside, and people just out there, rallying or whatever, and we're waving, not knowing that it's a Ku Klux Klan meeting, like a rally.
Wow.
And Dad, I, he, it scared him to the point where he's like, "Stop waving! Don't do that," because he knew something that we didn't know. And
Mhm.
had it been, even an earlier time, that could have turned out really bad, for our entire family. So coming up in Tennessee and having to deal with that kind of stuff, not even seeing it, but then finding out later, and still wanting to continue, knowing that that is a presence in the gospel music industry, that says a lot, because I know people that have probably dealt with worse than what we've dealt with. And I think because we're not motivated by the money aspect of it, it allows us to look at it and put it in a place. Like
Mm,
they don't have control over what God said we're supposed to be doing. So
right.
we're not gonna stress over. We're not gonna be all up in arms and rah rah rah. You need to give us the same that you're giving. God is going to provide, and He's always provided for us the avenue, the vehicle, whatever we need to put this music out and share it with people. Because ultimately, it's His gift. He gave it to us. And I think we're charged to give it away. That's the definition of a gift. It's something that you
Right.
give away. So that the Million Man March thing just motivated me to keep going even further, because no one man can stop what God has put in motion.
That's right. That's right. Thank you for sharing that. Anson, what about you? What any movements or in folks within the industry or in Black history that has inspired you personally in your work?
Um, there have been a tremendous amount of folks who have been influential, and I could name some folks in the industry. Of course, that I believe that, like, Stevie Wonder is a great influence in some of the things that he's been involved with, as far as Black history, and he is, of
Mm,
course, an icon in the industry. Speak of people like, well, this is what I want to share. This is I we have a cousin that has is such a big inspiration to us. She is a U.S. District Court judge, and she was appointed by both these by the Trump administration and by the Obama administration.
wow.
It was one of those. I'm sorry, not Obama, but Trump
Biden.
and Biden.
Mm,
So, and she has stayed consistent. She's in Michigan, and she's stayed consistent. We've just been we've watched, and we got to be a part of her ceremony this past year, and it was just such a blessing to see her continue to climb and climb and climb as a Black woman in
mm,
an industry or an area um, where Black women don't have a lot of influence, a lot of pull.
mm,
She is there right at the top of it.
yeah.
So, she's an inspiration. When I saw the question, I immediately thought about her, even though she's not in music or entertainment, but she has been a big supporter of us, and of course, she invited us to come and sing the Black National Anthem at her ceremony. And so, I just want to give a shout out to Stephanie Dawkins Davis, U.S. District Court judge. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. Shout out to you, cousin. I appreciate this thread as in other interviews, folks have been highlighting really modern day historical figures, right? Because often we can look back and name the Rosa Parks and the Fannie Lou Hamers, and they are great and they are still a part of our history and foundational to our struggle. But there's some folks that are doing great work right now, and I think that is so awesome that your cousin has been named that in that area, especially in that state, right? That we all know is doesn't have a lot of representation in that area of law and as judges in general. So that's so dope to hear. And I appreciate you all sharing what you have shared, because we know that with history and our moments that we see with folks together, using their education for the good of the communities, certain things just don't leave us, right? Like the moment going in Tennessee and having that moment with your father, like that just sticks with you, right? And these moments, these historical movements, they just stick with us. And so I'm curious to know, just real quickly, what is it about Black History Month that, if you could leave a message and a legacy about Black History Month as we celebrate in this month and the entire year, really? But
Yeah.
what is your legacy that you want people to remember you by? And I know that folks can't say your name without saying the other, but so there might be a legacy that you want Dawkins and Dawkins to leave. But what about just Eric and Anson? What are those things that you want to leave behind for future generations?
I think because, like I said before, we have a heart for mentoring and just pouring back into people. I get a ton of DMs and emails with people wanting to just shadow me and sit in like the thing I hear the most is, man, if I could just be a fly on the wall in one of your sessions and da 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 whatever. We have a heart for that, and I think leaving a legacy for the ones coming behind us to not have to even go through half of the stuff that we went through coming up. As pioneers, I think, and trailblazers, I tell people all the time, it's not a glamorous position or a title to have. I mean, people think of it as like, oh wow, that's huge. Like it has weight to it, but you have to think about what a trailblazer is or a trendsetter.
Right.
They're somebody that doesn't necessarily get to enjoy the road that they've paved. It's for people coming after them, like an architect doesn't live in the building that he builds. It's for other people to enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like for us to be able to say that we were pretty much some of the first to do the urban gospel music thing and pave the way for the ones coming behind us. I'm not even going to name any names, but people know who it is.
Yes. Yes.
But even that type of legacy is really all we want to do. And to have people know, like you said, we're so humble. Like we get more people coming up to us like, man, I can't believe you guys are so humble. And my first question is like, why wouldn't we? And they're like, you're Dawkins and Dawkins. I'm like, yes, and you cut me, I bleed. We're no different. We're human, and I'm telling people all the time. I'm just a regular guy that loves what I do, and it comes across in the music that you hear. So just leaving that type of legacy, letting them know that you can do what you love to do. You don't have to be arrogant. You don't have to be puffed up about it. Our humility, I think, is what allows us to move the way we do move, and have the attention and the ear and the audience of our peers in the music industry, people that we've met along the way that said, man, I've been listening to y'all since I was a kid. Like, we've been on tour and y'all stuff is the stuff that we listen to on the tour bus. And I mean, we've gotten that so much, and it's humbling to us because we don't just assume that people know who we are, but the influence has gone way past what we can see. And we just want to continue that and leave that legacy that, you could be a couple PKs from Iowa and make a mark in the world, and you don't have to sell out or compromise what you believe or what you stand on to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. I think that as far as legacy is concerned, the best I think the best legacy that I can leave is one with my daughters, because I had direct influence over them. I speak directly into their lives, and they're adults now. So me watching and seeing, what is transpiring. My oldest daughter is a teacher, and she's moving in that arena and continuing the legacy and pouring out to kids. So it's just a blessing to be able to be a father that is proud, of course, of his Black heritage, but at the same time realizes that the reason that I am Black is because this is the way that God designed it for me to be. It's not, there were times in the past when I was younger, when I didn't really understand, why did I have to be born Black? Why couldn't I, that kind of thing. But what? But the idea of being able to recognize and celebrate the fact, wow, God loved me that much that I get to be. He designed me this way. This is something, and I need to walk that out and walk that out with my daughters. They're proud Black women, and it's like and to my nephew, Parker, seeing him, grow and what's happening with him, and just the influence that I and his mom and dad can have on him. It's a blessing to see that. So
I,
That's
I, I have to point that out to you too. I didn't mention my son. I have what many would consider the last of our line, from my dad, because it was just me and my brother, and we both had girls first. But I have a son who's 10 now, so he's essentially who's going to take the name on, to keep the name going, our family. And one thing, he's such a Dawkins and Dawkins fan, and I didn't realize it until this started happening, maybe probably late last year. I went in his room one night. I'm coming upstairs to go to bed, and I heard some music in his room. And he's asleep. Like he goes to bed at 9:00. He has Alexa in his room, so I walk in the room, and Dawkins and Dawkins is playing on the computer. And it caught me off guard. Like I was almost in tears. Like, I mean, he sees and hears me every day, but for him to think of us as influences or something that he wants to listen to, like he was like, "Daddy, can we listen to Dawkins and Dawkins?" I'm like, okay, but he literally goes to sleep playing Dawkins and Dawkins. Like he'll ask Alexa to pull up Dawkins and Dawkins playlist, and it's just playing all night long in his room. Wow. So I think that says a lot about the influence and the I guess legacy that we're leaving. Like he loves his Uncle Anson. Like he's an Anson fan, and a Dawkins and Dawkins fan. I think that's really, really cool to have a kid that loves what we do, and
absolutely,
and is vocal about it.
Right, and it's this legacy of humility and love that I'm hearing and leaving to your daughters, your son, and to also your peers and friends and family and community. And so I can talk to you all day. This has been so dope. And just to hear your stories is just so powerful. And I'm hoping that it really touches, and I know it will touch some of our viewers and those who may not even know you, but may be introduced to you all. And it's great to know that while we're in this legacy of love, that you all have a single coming out called That Love.
I want that reckless love that never fell in love. Oh yeah, I want that crazy love, that talk on a dating love. I want that way above average, more than so. More precious than ruby, silver and gold. I want that good morning sunshine down in my soul.
yes.
And so we can find that on all digital outlets, and we are excited about that. Just real quick, just tell us a little about how that love came about. What's the premise of the song?
Well, That Love is a song that was written by a friend of ours. Well, we co-wrote it with her, and it's so cool because the song, it's really, we're pushing it for a Valentine's playlist.
Okay.
The song just talks about wanting reckless love, wanting never failing love. That it's a song that just talks about, it's initially the love of God, but at the same time you want a love that has the love of God element, but it's also from somebody else. If we love God and we have that aspect to it, and we've gotten that love from God, we can at the same time extend that same love. But until we're loved, we can't do that. So this love, that love just talks about that love.
That's awesome. That love. Well, Eric, Anson, thank you so much for taking out the time from your busy schedules. This is a super busy weekend, I'm sure, for you all. So thank you all so much. Black Brilliance Now, go out and support February the 9th, That Love by Dawkins and Dawkins on all digital outlets. Let's support our Black brothers and make sure that we put this on our playlist for upcoming for February 14th, because I forgot it was Valentine's Day. Clearly, I need to find some love myself.
Yes.
So thank you all so much, and we look forward to the next episode. Take care.
I appreciate it.